good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Part of Great Big Green Week, we've decided to host a home energy efficiency webinar. My name's Cheryl, and I'm a project officer on Cold Cosy Homes. Some of you will have already heard of Cold Cosy Homes and have possibly met you before. Cold Cosy Homes is a project under the umbrella of Cumbria Action for Sustainability. So as I mentioned, unfortunately, Amy can't join us today, so I'm going to be representing both of us, and we'll fire across any questions via email to her later on. So what we're going to cover today, as we've mentioned, we're going to cover the energy price guarantee because there's an update for that from July. I'm going to go through some energy saving tips, so that'll include behaviours that we can do ourselves at home and also things that we can do to our homes to help energy efficiency. Some support available, different grants and schemes that are in place at the moment that might be able to help you, and then question and answers we'll save till the end. Do feel free if there's anything you want to ask as we go along in the chat. If it just relates to a slide, pop it in there, and if I don't address it at the time, I will do so at the end or come back to you on an email. Okay, so here at CAFS, we've got multiple projects running all the time. So I've put a little link there to our projects page, which will tell you more about the different projects. We've got Solar Made Easy, we've got Farming for Future and Cold Cosy Homes. So our projects aim to tackle climate change in all sorts of ways, from helping people to make their homes more energy efficient, like we are today, through to supporting new community energy installations in solar. So there's the link just there. Bear with me, I'll just let somebody else in. That'll take you through to all the different projects. So today we've got our Cold Cosy hats on, I think, if we're talking about home energy efficiency. Cold Cosy started in November 2018, and we offer free energy saving advice and equipment to help people make their homes warmer and more comfortable. So first of all, we'll talk about the energy price guarantee. What is it? Well, the energy price guarantee was introduced on November the 1st in 2022 to protect households from the rocketing fuel prices. However, it's now been confirmed the price cap will fall below the energy price guarantee from July, meaning that for most, the energy price guarantee will fall away as we pay the lower of the two. The government used the energy price guarantee to reduce bills for everyone. This caps the amount of energy companies are allowed to charge for each unit of gas and electricity. Some energy companies show this as a reduction on their bills. So you might see one high figure, which is the market cost of the fuel used, and one lower figure, which is the amount you need to pay an energy price once the energy price guarantee has been applied. So it is a bit confusing. But are the prices coming down because of that? Well, the good news is yes, they are. From the 1st of July, a typical household in England, Scotland and Wales will pay around £2,074 a year on their annual energy bills. So today, the price cap means that we currently pay 33.2 pence per kilowatt hour of electricity and 10.3 pence per kilowatt hour for gas. From July and September, this will reduce, from July through to September, sorry, this will reduce to 30p and 8p. On average, it means that a typical household bill will fall by about £420 per year. So I have just put a slide for a table for that, which just is a good visual of the saving. So it doesn't look like much, but it will add up for all of us and equate to a saving in the long run. So I'll leave that up just for a moment. Something we get asked a lot about as part of our Cold Cosy Home service is switching energy suppliers, especially with the prices changing now. People are asking, do we start switching again? So switching wasn't advised for a period of time during the energy crisis. Pretty much everyone was charging the same, so there was little difference between providers, and it didn't make a huge amount of sense to switch. We all kind of were advised just to sit and wait it out. Lots of the energy providers now, just let somebody else in, are operating their switching tools again. So we have got one on our website, which I've put a link for there. Check a cheaper energy tariff with CAFs. So you can click through that. It will ask you information about whether you've got a combined gas electricity provider or whether it's individual. You can either do it on what you pay, or you can do it on your consumption if you know that. And then it will generate other energy tariffs that might be more suitable. So I did this just while I was putting those slides together. So it was estimated that if I switched, I could save £648.28 a year. So I looked at that and thought, that's great. But unfortunately, it isn't just that straightforward. It's great to go on and have, excuse me, have a look and see if savings could be made. But at the moment, we're still a little bit tentative about advising whether people should switch or not at the moment. There's definitely pros and cons to switching. So I've tried to describe some of these here. So just remember that energy prices are volatile. We've seen them rocket and we've seen them start to come down. So we can't predict what's going to happen in the long-term future. If you commit to a 12-month tariff now and prices continue to fall, you might end up paying more than you would have done if you'd stayed on your variable tariff. So just be aware of that. Not all energy companies offer the warm home discount as well, which is £150 credit applied to your energy account. So if you're looking to switch, it's worth checking out that your new provider does offer the warm home discount as well, so you're not missing out on that. But pros, you could save money in the short term, and if you're the type of person that just likes to know how much you're going to be paying for budgeting purposes, then it's worth exploring. So unfortunately, it's not a really straightforward answer. It's have a look into it and make a decision, or sit and wait through the next 3 months and see what happens between July and September. Oops, I think I just went one too many then. So hopefully we all received this earlier on in the year, which was the Energy Bill Support Scheme. Every household received £400 discount on their energy bills from winter 22 to 23. So this was the kind of £66 that was knocked off our bills each month. We didn't have to apply for it. It wasn't means tested. We all just did get that, which was really helpful. The difference with this, and the reason we've just included the slide, was if you're on a prepayment meter, it wasn't just knocked off your bills. You were sent vouchers in the post for it. So again, it should have been automatic. You didn't need to apply for your vouchers. They were just sent through in the post. But people then needed to take those vouchers to the local post office or pay point shop and have those transferred into money off their bills. So this is still running at the moment. If you haven't cashed in your vouchers or know somebody with a prepayment meter that may not have got round to it, the deadline for doing that is the 30th of June. So if you haven't done it, put it as a priority for this month. Or if you think you should have received the vouchers because you're on a prepayment meter and you haven't, then it's worth getting in touch with your energy provider to see if they can reissue them. So that's just an important point, because it make, £400 is a huge difference. So the other support that's available, I've mentioned it already just in passing, is the warm home discount. And this is the one-off payment of £150 to help with electricity bills. So it was paid automatically for people receiving pension credit and those on means tested benefits who live in a property the government assessed to have a high energy cost. We're not entirely sure how the high energy cost is calculated. The details of that haven't been released, but we believe it's an algorithm based on the size of the house and the EPC certificate. So you should receive a letter between November and January, because the scheme is currently closed at the moment. So moving forward into next winter, look out for that letter. It should be automatic, but in some cases you might be asked to confirm your eligibility. Another piece of post to look out for. So even with the support that we've had last winter in the energy saving measures, unfortunately, there are people that are sat in energy debt. There is support available with that, so you can seek advice from your energy supplier. Would be the first people to go to if you have got debt on your account. And then there are other places like Citizens Advice that will help with budgeting for energy debt. British Gas Energy Trust have a grant scheme available, and it's up to £1,500 for people to be able to write off energy debt. It's not just for British Gas customers, it's for any energy supplier customers. So it's well worth having a look at that, or passing this grant detail on to people that might benefit from it. The thing to consider with this is, when applying, they want you to have already looked for support. So I put a link on there for Step Change, which is a debt charity. Amy's experience during house visits with this grant is, if she rings up to start the process, the first thing they're saying is, have you spoken to Step Change already? What action has been taken? I think it's quite a long process for this grant. There's paperwork that needs to be in order, but it's still absolutely worth mentioning and signposting to people. But before doing that, just make sure that they've been in touch with income maximisation, Turn to Us, or Step Change. As it says there on the slide, get debt advice first. So that's kind of the government grants and support available. We'll have a little look about our own energy saving behaviours and what we can be doing. So how we can reduce our own energy consumption. Amy does a regular slot on Radio Cumbria once a month on a Monday. And part of that is there's always a top tip on there. So this month's top tip is to target energy reduction for your high use appliances. So if you're going to change your behavior and just make a few changes, then if you target the right appliances, you're going to see the most benefit. So the example we've got here is, if you reduce the amount of time you use your immersion heater or kettle by 1 hour, it will save you 300 times more than reducing the time you spend charging your mobile phone for an hour. So it's convoluted, but it's about focusing on the big things, really, the big energy appliances that change in your behaviour relating to those. What is going to make a big difference. I chatted with Amy yesterday as we were running through the slides, and confessed that I'd put my tumble dryer on for a couple of moments to fluff my towels up. So this slide was really poignant then, because that was the wrong thing to do. That was a really high energy appliance, which leads me on to the next slide, which I added in after that conversation. It dries the washing using the very latest technology, a combination of solar and wind power. So while we are all experiencing this really beautiful weather, it's a great time for us to be using our washing line, which I'm sure we all are doing so. Okay, so we've pulled these figures from the Citizens Advice website. it's got a really useful calculator on there and gives you an estimation of how much an appliance costs to run, and you can compare it against other appliances. So this gives an indication of what are those real high energy users. So your immersion heater being 99p, that's when it's getting up to temperature, not at a maintenance. And so that's a high energy one compared to your light bulbs and your phone chargers, which don't use much at all if it's an LED bulb. So I'll leave that there. That link on there is for the Citizens Advice calculator. It's quite interesting to have a play on it. So that was electricity. We'll have a little look at gas consumption. You can reduce your heating bill by around 10% for every degree you turn your thermostat down, meaning on an annual heating bill of £1,500, turning your thermostat from 20 to 18 could save around £300 a year, which is massive. And I think lots of people did do that this winter. It was that degree difference, or a couple of degrees difference, that once it equates to hundreds of pounds is a measure worth taking. You can also use your smart meter, if you have one, to help you better understand which appliance is costing you the most. I know lots of people have got smart meters this past winter, and lots of people are still waiting for them. I think the energy companies have been inundated with requests. So I know where I am, there's never anybody in the area, unfortunately, to install them. But if you've got one, brilliant. That's the link again to the Citizens Advice calculator. So other measures: take a bath rather than a shower. That's a simple one that I'm sure we're all doing at the moment. And washing up in a bowl or a dishwasher that's full rather than using a flowing tap or a sink. That's kind of some of our behaviours that we can cover. We'll have a look at our homes on a larger scale and what we can do there. So lots and lots of measures. These are your lower cost improvements. So things like loft insulation, cavity wall insulation and draft proofing. So improving the thermal efficiency of your home is the best way to reduce your bills. It means that less heat is escaping, so your boiler doesn't have to work so hard. Lower costs improvement include your loft insulation. If it's less than 300 millimeters, it's cheap and easy to top up. Cavity walls, if they're suitable for your house, it's not suitable for all properties, but it's something to look into. And draft proofing around windows, skirting boards, doors and pipe entries. These are, as I said, just small, lower cost improvements that can help with the insulation of your home. There are larger measures to consider as well, excuse me, to improve home energy efficiency. So roof insulation, which is if you've had your loft converted, it's insulating the space around that room that's unconverted, that's not normally insulated, so insulating that. Underfloor insulation, we lose about 10% of our heat on average through your ground floor. So older houses with suspended floors, which are in effect above a void, are more likely to lose more heat through the floor. And homes with solid or concrete floors built since the 1930s have less of a problem. But we can insulate our floors as well with solid insulation that's placed directly on the floor to reduce the heat loss. And then solid wall insulation. This can be internal or external insulation by creating a stud wall and filling it with a mineral wool or something similar, replacing windows and doors. I've put that in red there. If we do improve the insulation of the home, we do have to look at the ventilation as well to make sure that we're addressing that and upgrading that with it. So we've still got airflow through the property. We can also look at our heating system to optimise those. If you've got an old inefficient boiler, you could consider replacing it to a lower carbon heating option, such as an air source heat pump There are some grants for the air source heat pumps as well, so I'll talk about those just in the next slide. And boilers are more efficient when they're run at lower temperatures. So if you've got a combi boiler, reducing the flow rate of your boiler for your central heating will reduce the cost of it. I've put a walkthrough of how to do that as well, because it's not just straightforward, because boilers are all different. But yes, it's a really easy way of reducing your heating bill just by changing a setting on your boiler. What it does mean is that when you put your heating on, it might take longer to get up to temperature, but if that's okay and you can plan for that and you use your timer correctly, then it can save you money. So it's worth having a look at that walkthrough. And then using thermostatic radiator valves. So if your radiators have got an individual control on them, if you really focus how you use those in the rooms that you use the most, and avoid heating rooms that you go in less. We don't suggest turning them off completely, even if it's a closed door room that you don't do anything with, because it can lead to dampness in that room. So even just having it on 1 or 2, just knocking it down as much as you can, but don't turn them off completely. So let's have a look at some of the grants and support that are available. So these are the means tested support. So first of all, on there, we've got the Home Upgrade Grant, or HUG 2. The scheme provides energy efficient upgrades and low carbon heating solutions for low income households living in the least energy efficient homes. So the grant is available for homes that are off grid, so they don't have mains gas and have an EPC rating of D, E, F or G. And I've popped the link on there through to that grant as well. Then we've got the Eco4, the Energy Company Obligation Grant. Not put a link on there, excuse me, because it is delivered by a private company, so it wouldn't have been fair to put a link on. That's something to just go and explore. So the primary goal of the grant is to support low-income households who are unable to upgrade their home and heating systems. It includes things like cavity wall insulation, solid wall insulation, boiler support and green heating systems. And then finally on this page is the affordable warmth. We've got affordable warmth, heating and insulation. Heating is means tested, so we've included that on this page. You must live in an energy inefficient home, typically EPC, E, F or G, with no central heating system and have an income of less than £31,000 or be on income related benefits. So this is your air source heat pump grant. If you've got no central heating and a low income, then you could be eligible for an air source heat pump. So these are means tested. Let's have a look at the non-means tested. So another energy company obligation, the Eco Plus. Those are living in home with an EPC D to G and with a council tax band A to D in England. I'll just do England for now. And a low income household with an EPC of D to G that might not be eligible under the Eco4 scheme. So it's the same kind of measures, but different eligibility for the Eco Plus. And then your affordable warmth insulation is cavity wall insulation and loft insulation fully funded. So homes must be in council tax band A, B, C or D, and properties need to have an EPC of C or below. So it's not means tested, but there is the council tax banding on there, so that can hold a restriction. And then the boiler upgrade scheme. This is a grant to cover part of the cost of replacing a fossil fuel heating system with a green energy one, so a heat pump or a biomass boiler. The criteria for this, you must own the property and your new heating system must be installed on or after 1st of April. So it can be a planned installation, but it's money towards changing that fossil fuel system to a greener system. I've also popped a link on the bottom of the page there of where to find your EPC certificate. If you don't know what your rating is for your property, you can just click through, pop your postcode in and find your property so you know what your EPC rating is. So I feel like there's lots of information on grants there, and they're all similar but different. So it's really useful to have a little look through the links and get your head into the different eligibility and what the different ones are offering. So hopefully those links will be useful there to explore more. So lots of what I've covered is available through our Cold Cosy Homes service. So as I mentioned, Cold Cosy Homes Cumbria is a free energy advice and equipment service to help people make their homes warmer and more comfortable. Part of the service is delivered over the phone. It might just be telephone advice for an individual. And the other part is home visits. So we have qualified home energy advisors that come and spend a couple of hours in somebody's home and go through all this kind of things, changes that they can make to the behaviour, changes they can make to the fabric of the house, and signposting them to different grants and schemes that they might be eligible for. So I've included this slide. If you've taken something away from those slides and thought there's so much information there, it might be able to help my next door neighbour or my great auntie and things, then you can refer them to Cold Cosy Homes. Don't have to try and regurgitate all the information on the slides. You can refer them to us through the link on there or through the telephone number on there, and we can have one of our advisors come out and discuss everything on this presentation with them. It is unfortunately only available to Cumbrian residents, Cold Cosy Homes. We've opened this webinar up to anybody as part of Great Big Green Week, but Cold Cosy Homes is a Cumbria-based service. So thanks everybody for joining. I do apologise that it was me and not Amy. All right, thanks everyone. Bye now.